Hey there, folks. I'm going to do some sketching in, penciling in, and inking backgrounds. One slightly more involved, and then a bunch just cursory hints of to ground the shots. Page you saw me inking last video. Back again. Hey there. I was going to do the sexy slide in thing, but I forgot I left that up. So I'm going to have some YouTube on, but I'm going to have some other stuff going on to garble that and all of it quiet so it doesn't interfere with the voice so much. And I have to remember to move the mic when I'm ready. The mic, the soft thing. And that has to go on. It's a big arm over there. I'll have the chat up in the window if you feel like saying hello and questions and shit. Yep. That's probably all I need to be saying here. Yeah, I think so. So this is the work for today. You can see I've started sketching in with a little bit of orange pencil. What I'm thinking. So let's move the mic on over. Nice snapshot though. You don't see that. Good. That's good. Excellent, excellent. There should be good volume there. Let's turn that down. There you are in the background. And we'll test that. How's everyone doing? I'm going to open the chat up. Is there anyone here? No, thank you. Okay. Go to me. I should be. There we are. Checking the volumes. Okay. It's a little too quiet. We can turn that up a little bit. It's a little too quiet. Too quiet. There we go. There we go. Okay, slide it down.
50 tons of cargo, and 1 week of consumable. Arguably the most popular version of sheep meat, other than the farm beverage produced for the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and would be a great transport company when the ultimate to a fall. I plan on releasing a video going over all the variants of the sheep meat in great detail sometime soon, so keep an eye out for that in the future, or check out my older video on them to tide you over the way. The automated sheep meat, like most variants of the ship, are 14.4 meters long by about 7 meters wide and 11 meters tall.
Reference to the actual sneaky deeds. I used to be a regular when I lived in Toronto. It's shaped that. It's showing more of that. What was the digital version? What I made some changes. Oh man, yes. Oh, it's gonna be dirty. It's over here. Did you roll away?
The Federation Council was beginning to hound the organization as they had received more and more complaints about delayed arrivals of parts and supplies, such as food, medicine, and construction materials for the new system. And so the salt
The two likes. Wow, thank you. No chat stuff.
starships to further duties, rather than retirement from service.
Hot messages.
Such a ridiculous life was become that this boldly changed its sort of policy, and for a while this solution didn't have solved the problem. But as the Federation continued to grow, and starship classes continued to age, the entire situation would find itself with a terrible scandal would brought the Federation to its goal.
Okay, it does work.
Tarsus 4, a fairly new colony, established
Just
into the
verify.
Federation, had been
I think I have some constraints on that. You have to be a subscriber to be in the chat for like 10 minutes or something. So you're subscribers. Just saves me a lot of, well, in theory, it should save me a lot of moderating.
Destroyed most of the colony's food supply, leaving its inhabitants, which numbered at around 8,000
There we go.
in serious threat of starvation.
Give me the eyes of a 20-year-old. What have I done? I'm just taking out the fans.
The leader would make the drastic decision that would have repercussions for centuries to come. He ordered the execution of 4,000 colonists so that the other 4,000 colonists might survive or Starfleet to assist them. Unknown to Curtis at the time, but several Starfleet vessels were actually far closer to the colony than expected. Their own missions of the offensive by nature, preventing anyone
That's better, isn't it?
knowing their whereabouts. And when Ulysses Shingo and the Ulysses constellation arrived in orbit of Tarsus 4, the governor, in total shock and dismay over what he had done, had presumably killed himself to avoid prosecution. This incident sent shockwaves throughout the Federation, especially when it was
Deep
discovered
stretches
that one
before you
of the
start
colonists
drawing.
murdered was none
Always
other than
advisable.
Sato, a key officer in the very creation of the Federation itself. It was at this point
It would
that the
demonstrate some
Federation
really
Council
basic
demanded
Yoga
that
ones.
Starfleet begin to
At
build
the
its own
the
fully
beginnings
integrated cargo
of my making
infrastructure.
comics
If
classes.
that was able to achieve the same speeds as their best
To,
modern Starship classics.
Make
Vessels
them,
from the likes of the Huron and
I don't know, like a familiar and integral part of learning about.
And rather than Starfleet Command supplementing the cargo carrier.
Also, this is a dynamic drawing, which was a general art class. So there was like a general
With private companies now supplementing
idea that I wanted to make commonplace.
But with the discovery that the
I used a slide. It's from a book.
money to be murdered by his own daughter
My,
in 2266 on board the Federation Starship Enterprise. The Federation again
Switch
began
keys for a second.
to start cargo authority, imposing regulations as demanded by the Federation's public. And with the technological
people's options.
advancement of the 2070s, Starfleet Command would once again be forced to look into its shuttle vessels, develop new
What was I gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna
mental of the various outfits Arctic freighters. And with that, Lax's self-fulfilling tracks would form.
teaching
Sitting of 108 meters, the Sherman-class cargo vessel would be designed to be operated by 35 officers and crew members. One of the most automated vessels of its time, the Sherman-class had a standard safe cruise speed with an emergency maximum speed to effective time, all full scale force. Actively, the Sherman-class
all the manual trainers in their 7 years of
as
teaching
well as for people
is stretch. It was called such a
because only areas required by a certain vessel, most of the space aboard the ship would house a new style apartment complex. This new cargo complex would be fully adaptable to allow the transport of almost any cargo with fully controllable environmental and gravity controls. Things like open areas, pics would be converted or dry or wet pics to be transported, or even converted to allow for maximum transport persons. Though not a standard edition to the class, many of the Sherman-class cargo vessels contain an industrial application class. These vessels, which had the ability to quickly create equipment and housing facilities, would be in great demand even during the early 24th century. The Sherman-class cargo vessels would perform so well during their lifetime that Starfleet would end up authorizing projects
What's going on
data
here?
technology vessel
Way away from the mic again. Hey-o. There we go. Mike is here now. And there it is. Stubborn man. There we are. Let's transform. There we go. So this is from, I believe, Drawing with Words, Writing with Pictures by Jessica Abel and Matt Maiden. They did a couple of, I think there was also Making Comics was the other one, but there was a second part to that title. Anyway, they did some really good, like, not just how-to comics, the way Making Comics and Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud work, but from the point of view of a teacher, what they did was create full courses and accompanying pedagogy. So that was pretty cool. That was something that made teaching this kind of like, here it is in cartoon form. It's not just me saying you should do this. It helps. Here, let's actually keep that around for future reference. Just put it there. Yeah. So let's get back to it, shall we? Okay. Oh, relax. Lovely. Okay. Out of the way a bit. I should probably be sharing this post, the stream, to the social media and stuff. I need to develop momentum and actually getting the work done. Someone asked on the last stream if I was working by a beach or something like that. I am not by a beach, but you'll be hearing different things in the background that I've created, audioscapes, soundtracks. I'm not much of a musician. It took guitar classes as a kid, but I didn't keep it up. I remember as a kid thinking I gotta have a synthesizer, a lot of stuff. But with the things I wanted to do, my impulses were so not what I was listening to, which was a lot of punk and prog rock, punk behavior, early YouTube, Sonic Youth, etc., etc. And before I had a really distinct taste, I was listening to a lot of late night CBC and college radio. This was before I've had real names or understandings of musical genres. And I was into a lot of slightly off stuff, but I was also into a lot of pop and soundtrack from Chess. There was that song "One Night in Bangkok" or something like that. Is that the title? I loved that as a kid. It was on all my mixtapes. I played it over and over. Such an over-the-top crazy thing, and I don't think I understood half of what he was talking about when I was first just totally grooving on the energy of it. I wasn't really a theater kid, but I kind of was curious. I was theater curious. I got scared off of it by a really bad theater teacher in high school who used me as the bad example repeatedly. It was just kind of like she had a thing for me for some reason. And that kind of gave me stage fright. I'm not using the orange marks I made, but there's a thing I used to say in my art classes: don't erase your mistakes right away, because they're gonna tell your eye what is wrong and where that mark needed to be, or if it even needed to be. If you take a moment to pause and think about it, if you caught your eye in the first place at all, and you're training your eye as part of becoming an artist, and things start catching your eye. If it's caught your eye at all, it's because you have an instinct about why it's wrong. And the trick is to reflect on that and either dig into what you know already or see if you can discover something new. Murals on these walls. The thing to do now is to focus on the architecture.
Years ago, Huron Indians named this city with their word for meeting place, Toronto. Today, a very big meeting place.
This is like
There's a new feeling in the air.
layers of old audio sampling.
Right?
Yeah, it's quite loud, probably. So it's like layers of old audio sampling built up. Different things. I think.
A feeling that moves in many directions.
I felt like it's like was mostly done with the actual promo thing. Where did I get? I can't remember if I generated
North America's fastest
or
growing
found.
metropolis is a young city.
By generated meaning like plonking. I think some of it is like these Salgood Sam. That's me just like plonking them.
Going.
And
There's a new feeling in
Pink.
the air.
there might be some other stuff in there. Samples, sample packs. Forget what all went into that. Except for the really wild, like 1960s Ontario
Wherever you
tourism
look,
program.
there's a new feeling in the air. And now, Eastern
Found.
Airlines is proud to be part of that new feeling. Eastern, bringing quiet, powerful whisper jets. A new kind of service with a name of its own.
Taking what I'm doing.
New people, new places. Fly Eastern soon. See how much better an airline can be.
Hank's going on about the doomed Sora. Fare thee well, horrible creature. May you not be followed by another. A bit uneven, but you know what? For some reason my eye likes it. Interesting. Well, I'm gonna leave it for now and go ahead and make what I was doing. But also this is a thing, these black bars in the back are easy enough to fix later in Photoshop, if I feel so inclined. I believe I have things to put in. Yeah. Big
David, like my class in high school,
those.
like that's the problem, like when they film for the
Oopsie.
competition.
The idea is to hint that there's something going on the other side there. And to
when he's probably doing like the stock. Yeah, he has his
do.
Ready now? Here we go. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some chicks, E-I-E-I-O. With a chick here and a chick there. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some ducks, E-I-E-I-O. With a quack quack here and a quack quack there. Here a quack, there a quack, everywhere a quack quack. Chick here, chick there. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had a turkey, E-I-E-I-O. With a gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there. Here a gobble, there a gobble, everywhere a gobble gobble. Gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there. Here's a chick here and a gobble gobble here and a moo there. Wait a minute, fellas. All together now. E-I-E-I-O.
Well, it's a little better. Just trying to get the blacks to be more black. So, what do we do next? Keep going with the bits of the wall structurally. Sign reach. you can see my messed up finger there. It's healing up. Not to worry. That infection in the nail. Right now. It's all drained now. Healing up. To treat it with salt water and stuff for a bunch of days. Quite painful until I was able to drain out all the stuff. But I had to soak it many times before it got soft enough to do that without forcing too much. And I remembered I have medical needle punching devices. I gave a try to hurry it along. It would actually work, but not in the way that I expected. I wouldn't be able to puncture through the hammer effect of the device a couple times caused the stuff to start coming out at a different location. It's fine. It's good. Cleaned it out, washed it. Was able to treat it more thoroughly with salt water and then antibiotics. And it's healing up nice. If I have to, I'd take it to the hospital. It's infected again further. I thought I should mention, considering you might be able to see it. Yeah, it's pretty right up the camera. Okay. There we go. That's better. Think about that post some more. There's nothing more to it. Is that it? I think I might I even want to go camp with this. Do some radiating lines. Why is hashtag AI included in the list? Don't know. It's probably a leftover. Where's the thing? It's the list. More. That's some of those tags are left over from previous streams. I'll take them out after. I don't do AI. In fact, that would have been anti-AI when I was talking about it. So, there you go. But I don't remember when. Okay. Yeah. Into the shapes, and I'm going to do something textural. I've done mushrooms. As you can you see that on the camera? Probably not so well. Yeah, not detailed with this shape. Originally, I was going to be having her take some peyote, but that just didn't feel like it. start getting rid of color erase pencil. I worked on the thing. I started inking at the top of the page, and I'll do some here first because it was the safest. I need to get rid of all of it. I just need to lighten it to the point where it'll be easier when I scan it to this, to negate that, subtract it from the visible command values. Some of that is print, some of that is always as well. Just lighten things up. Somewhere close to our light as possible. Space there a little too small, but I can shift his nose up in Photoshop easy enough. I should know use Photoshop anymore. Clip Studio or Affinity. He's one of the fools who got suckered into buying the latest version of Affinity just months before they made it free. But it still works.
Okay. I think that's it for this one. How long have I been streaming? Let's go see. No, look, I remember I brought my bike with me. Oh, just hit an hour as I was watching. 61. All right. Oh, 51. Okay, we're coming up on an hour. Well then. I hope that was good for you as it was for me. A little bit of progress. Nothing major. Making decisions about backgrounds and stuff. I've drawn this before, this location. And there's like murals that I'm going to fill in. And some stuff on the blackboard. I'll spot some more blacks in that for self-esteem. Some cactuses here with funny faces. It's a Fiona Smith mural. Toronto artist. Love her stuff. Her work is like the signature look of Sneaky D's is Fiona's handiwork. Interior murals and signage. And there's external murals too, I think. I forget now. Look it up. Google it. Sneaky D's. Scott Oh, dang it. What's his name? Another comic artist has used Sneaky D's. Slightly younger guy than me. And that was annoying for me because I'd already had the idea of using it as a comic character. I had two different comics. One that I didn't finish, that it was sort of based on Sneaky D's. And then another was a script that I wanted to draw that would include a scene at Sneaky D's. And it took me a while. I wrote the initial versions of the script in the 90s, parts of it. And then it was done with a collaborator back then, Jonathan Sugarman. And then he decided he wasn't a writer anymore and sort of abandoned it. And I gave it some time, but then picked it up as a hobby project for myself in the early aughts. And that's when Brian Lee did Scott Pilgrim, or started coming out. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I think it's like that. Yeah, it blew up. I didn't really read it till later, and I don't know, I'm of mixed minds about it. It's not really my style of comic. And then I had a weird encounter with with Brian at the first comic awards, the Doug Wright Awards, which he won. Congratulations to him. But he was a little weird about it. We were up for the same award. And yeah. And then the movie came out, and it just comes down to like the story isn't something that I'm into. I don't really like that model of narratives about men having to prove themselves for a lover. It's a classic fairy tale turned into a modern kind of manga adventure. And it worked. Lots of people loved it. But the kind of tropes, the meta tropes, pre-existed Brian Lee playing with them, were already things that make me groan a bit. And they're just having to put in one thing. It did well, but then I'm not really into those kind of people and that whole ego trip. And even back in the day, I remember coming out of Nerds. It came out when I was a kid. And Revenge of the Nerds. And I remember like awkward laughing through a lot of it. I recall kind of enjoying it, but taking it as less celebratory of some of the crap, the toxic shit that was going on. And being a little cringed about that. And was already off on a lot of like nerd culture, which has some weird dynamics about ego and self confidence and proving oneself. What works for you, I guess. But that's totally off topic. I was going to mention that I'm hemmed and hawed after I saw the comic and was sort of had mixed feelings about it and mixed experiences around it. And I thought about changing it, but then I went, no. Because I actually was like a regular at CKDs, and my experiences around that inform a lot of the characters in this comic. That's a whole long story, but it's not any real people, but they're kind of amalgams of impressions I had from the regulars that I hung out with when I was there in the 90s. I used to go to, in the late 80s, Sneaky D's was a greasy spoon on Bloor Street. It's a little tiny one. I had a bunch of little, it's very narrow, and there was a low diner counter with low stools, kind of like marshmallow shaped heads, I ever seem to recall. And then booths along the length of that the space was narrow enough that they were just 2 people booths, so like one person facing one person, but it was a booth built into the wall. There was a number of them. I forget how many exactly. 5, maybe 4. Could have been just 3. Not sure. But I remember the vibe being, and then later hearing that that wasn't entirely wrong. That like at each booth was the dealer of something, someone, and you could kind of tell what by how they behaved. One was sort of jumpy, one was sort of sleepy. And then in the back was just a bunch of larger booths and tables. It wasn't too big. You could get pretty good greasy food. I think they already had some of the Tex-Mex stuff on the menu. That seems to ring a bell. And then they also had a Squeegee Punk kind of street kids menu. So there was items like a plate of grilled cheese, and it was several, like 3 or 4 or more grilled cheeses, cheap food that they could fill up on it, and it was very cheap. The 80s prices too, so all of it would have been cheap by today's standards, but that was especially cheap. And then they had a booze can venue in the basement. I don't think it was totally licensed. That was my impression. And it was like not very high ceilings. You could reach up and touch them, and it was the rafters. And that had all been painted by Fiona, if I remember correctly. I think Fiona had, well, she painted the rafters, but she painted murals in that space. And it was a punk venue for shows. I only went to a couple there. Very popular for certain circles. I always had a problem with like loud music, and frequently had to leave because my ears would start ringing easily. And I think I just was cautious about protecting my hearing, but I also have sensory sensitivity. And that space was just too small. It got too loud for me. But I liked the diner. And I worked at the Bluer Cinema and would go there before or after work. It was 24 hours frequently. And then there was like a brief period where I moved to Baldwin and Henry over a restaurant, an apartment over a restaurant. And I don't know, like a couple months of just getting resettled, I didn't go to D's. Or it had closed. But I have to check the year, but I think by the end of that summer, it had opened up on College at Bathurst, where it is today. And immediately I liked it. It had evolved a little into a full-fledged like dinners and things restaurant in 24 hours, and it had this vibrant culture going on and live venue upstairs and all sorts of stuff going on. So I went there. It was like my living room for the better part of the 90s, that decade. I did an audio documentary there about their Sneaky D's Bingo. If you know, you know. Adrian Churchill was the bingo caller and the founder of Sneaky D's Bingo. Rest in peace. He's an actor, an interesting character. Sadly, died of prostate cancer a couple years ago. A year ago? Relatively recently. Getting to that age, a lot more people are starting to hit their expiry dates amongst my cohort. Not me yet, hopefully. Yeah. So on that positive thought, we're gonna sign off. And if you want to hear me ramble some more, or just watch drawing, or ask strange questions that occur to you to ask, join the 13,000+ people who subscribe to this channel so far. Which is that's a little mind-blowing, actually. It's a lot of people. Hi, thank you for subscribing. I wasn't even using this for a big chunk of that time. I think we went from 10 to 13 while I wasn't active. So that's cool. Yeah. Maybe we will hone and find our way. A big part of that time was like figuring out some stuff about myself and needing to develop greater measures of I don't know, means of focus and control and getting my shit together. Yeah. But getting back to the comics slowly. Originally, the plan was to have Mind Engine Clutch, the second volume, released this May for Comic Festival season. But that ain't happening. Not for totally bad reasons, but I just realized it wasn't going to come together that quickly. And I don't love it, but I've gotten pretty comfortable with reevaluating and being realistic about what I can get done. And I had some other priorities I had to look into. There's still a few things I need to get done from that priority list that didn't totally fully get executed. I need to get better about exercising, and I need to finish my driving lessons. That's right. 55, getting my first driver's license. I've done a bunch of basics, and I've done a little bit of time in a car, nerve-wracking, which kind of turned me off doing it again, but I need to do it again. I need to find someone who will let me practice in a more controlled environment than just the middle of the street during rush hour. Give me a parking lot, folks. Come on, work with me here. Old man's got nerves. Okay. Need to work myself up to that shit. But we'll do it. And then yeah, whatever. There's things, there's plans. Fate laughs at your plans. Make them anyway. It's important to have focus. Be well, keep making creative things. Fight the machine. Never submit in advance. Looks like the NDP's having an interesting change of guard. I'm an NDPer. I voted. I love the change in the executive wing. We'll see. They're gonna have to perform, but that is important. That's kind of bigger. And then if Avi Lewis wins, that was my pick. Is it Tanel? Damn it, I forget her. Is it Johnson? Tanel Johnson? Well, I'm bad with names. Sorry, no offense. But my second runner-up was that, and Heather McPherson was my third. Tanel, I forget your last name right now. Sorry. Had actually one of the best platforms. But I think Avi has the most specific mix of things needed to revive the party, including excitement around him. That Heather doesn't have, even if she has experience. And she's a little too beholden to the oil patch, for my liking. But, of the main three that I ranked in my vote, I'd be pretty happy with any of them winning, relatively speaking. So, good things. I think first round voting will get declared. Is it Sunday or Monday? I can't remember now. I look forward to hearing how that turns out. Yeah. Cheerio.